Hi everyone, it's Danny. Okay, so today I'm gonna ID for you the Vanda Pachara Delight orchid. If you're a long-time subscriber, you might already know this orchid. It is one of my oldest orchids since I actually started collecting orchids. And back then I did make a video on it, but I used to film with the iPhone. The colors were not good, the quality of the video was not good, so I want to make a proper ID video for this Vanda orchid. Okay, so the Vanda Pachara Delight is one of those hybrids that simply does well and is so floriferous. You have the full parentage of this orchid in the description if you're interested in that. And it's just such a beautiful orchid simply because it has such a deep, beautiful color. And it is a very popular orchid because it has a wonderful color. Now, sometimes it is confused with the Vanda Blue Magic, but there are differences. First of all, the flower. On the Pachara Delight, the flower is really huge, and hopefully you can see here compared to my hand. It is a big flowered Vanda orchid. The Blue Magic does not have quite as big flowers. Also, the flowers are a bit more rounder than the Pachara Delight. Also, there is a color difference. To me, the Blue Magic seems to be a bit more washed away than the Pachara Delight. So as you can see, the color on this one, it is really deep. Really not sure how it appears on this camera, but it's close to reality compared to the previous video that I made. Now, this is one of the few blue orchids you can actually find out there, and as you can see, it is not a proper ink blue orchid. Those types of orchids are really hard to find, if not impossible. I really am not sure if there is such a thing as a true ink blue orchid, but this is as close as you can get. It is actually a sort of an indigo color. But it is really close to blue, so if you're looking for a blue orchid, this is the hybrid for you, really. It is just such an easy bloomer, such a floriferous bloomer, actually. My Vanda Pachara blooms twice a year in my environment, but I think it can actually bloom 3 times per year. My winter is really gloomy and really cold, and in the winter time this orchid seems to take a little bit of a break. It doesn't grow so fast, so it does not bloom. But once spring comes, it's just back in business once again, and it blooms beautifully. It can produce anywhere from 6 to 8 flowers on a flower spike. It seems to me that this time I have 7 or 8 or 9. I am not really sure, I didn't count them, there are just so many. And compared to the orchid, the bloom is actually quite decent. This is a big orchid, as you can see, and if you know her from my other videos, you know she's a big girl. So this hybrid is not a mini Vanda, if you want to call it like that. You do need quite a lot of space for it. Also, the root system can get quite unruly and quite big, so I'm not sure if this is a good candidate for growing in a vase, like some people like to grow them. So I'm really not sure. It is a big girl, but it is just so floriferous. It's easy to bloom if you have decent conditions, let's say. If you can provide bright light. I don't provide bright light all the time, especially in the winter time. But if you can provide the brightest light, you can warm temperatures and water this orchid at least once a day by soaking it really well. All should be fine. You know, there are those Vanda orchids who only bloom once a year or don't bloom at all if they don't like something. This is not one of those. It is just such a nice hybrid. I'm not sure if this orchid ever got any awards, but I think it deserves an award because it is so vigorous and it is so easy to rebloom, and it blooms so many times a year. It is pretty much easy to find, so if you're looking to buy your very first Vanda orchid, do start with the Pacharas, and especially the Pachara Delight, because it is such a beautiful color and it's unique. It's nice to have this dark blue indigo color in your orchid collection, and everybody who sees it absolutely flips, absolutely goes mental on it because it is so strong and because it is so majestic and the blooms are so big. So I'll give you a close-up of the blooms. You can see the lip is slightly darker in color, and also the foliage has a little pattern on it. Now in real life it's not so obvious. For some reason on my camera it appears that it's very spotted, but in real life, if you don't see it up close, you almost don't really notice this pattern. But yeah, the color is just so intense, and this pattern only adds some 3D effect to the flower. So I really recommend to you this orchid. It is just one of my favorite orchids ever. My boyfriend actually purchased this one for me because it was very expensive at the time. I didn't know where to buy orchids, so I purchased this one for 40 euros, but you can definitely find it at a lower price if you look. Usually orchid nurseries that have it should have it at a more decent price. The bigger the store you purchase it from, probably the more expensive it will be. But I think you can find it practically anywhere, because it is a very widely spread hybrid. Okay, so if you want to know how to care for Vanda orchids in general, I do have a video and I will add it in the description of this video or add an annotation link here, but I will remake that video in better quality because again it is an old video. But I also did a how to water Vanda orchids and you can find the link right here if you click it, also in the description. So if you want to learn more about Vanda orchids, do check the description. They're not really hard to take care of, even in a home environment. Alrighty, so if you want to see more videos from me, don't forget to subscribe. You can leave me questions and suggestions in the comments section below, and also you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye!